to tell me that President Zuma is not a leader. We'll never allow that. We are going to keep a dog until the owner comes out. After we expelled these boys, Kumalo was running around like a headless chicken with no direction. Then we said,
Baba, you know, we made it very clear. We take position here as a Mukhondo. We're a non-violent party, and we will not tolerate political intolerance or violence. We've made it very clear now, we will not accept what he said, some discipline internally to our own fortresses. But then again, the youth sometimes tend to become emotional with me. So Tina, a responsibility as leadership is to guide them. Over to Nabo, they could about consequences. So it's important when you're a leader. You're sure you'll be very careful. But again, don't forget your concern over to Tina as a Mkonto. We are registered, we're going to be on the ballot. There is going to be no need for any of that rhetoric to be mentioned.
There are a couple of issues with the statement made by Kanyile. One, the MK is supposed to take action and then talk to him privately, not in public, not in the media, but privately, to indicate to him that the statements that he has made might in fact tarnish the image of the party. So that is one thing that is supposed to happen at that level. But then secondly,
what does this mean for MK party? Number one, let me just put it on record that I still see people on social media not instigating. Instigate is the wrong word. Somewhat provoking and calling Bongosi Kanyile to action. Now they say Kashal Figile, it's time for him to act on his threats, and I don't know what will that achieve. I hope MK does appeal because it doesn't make sense for me why Msholozi should not be on the ballot paper, because it's not as if he's running for presidency. He's not going to be the president because of our laws. People have asked, of course, about your Kenny Kunenes, your Gaten McKenzie, Jacob Zuma, Jacob Zuma before he was, and stuff. Those are the technical things that maybe they'll be discussed. But now what I want to say is, MK, stop. I mean, there isn't an excuse for you. You've got these elections by you know what. You can see what I say. You've got these elections here. Don't be tempted to go violent. Don't be tempted to do anything. I still believe MK will still give ANC a run for its money. They will still kick them in the butt in the national election, even if Msholozi is not there. It's not on the face. It will just, I mean, people are not stupid. People will still vote MK without Msholozi being there. But the contest is not over yet. I hope they appeal. I hope they go in somewhere that they want. I think the 9th of April will be the last determining date of how this thing is going to pan out. But I hope they do not give up, and I hope people don't go into violence. Don't be instigators. Don't be instigated. Don't be provoked. Remain strong. I've been appealing for MK guys to be strong. You are taking down an incumbent is not easy. Go to Uganda. Go to many African countries. It's not easy to remove someone. The worst thing you want to do is to go violent. I mean, there's still avenues for you to explore. You're going to listen to a voice note that I'm going to play where it unpacks everything, and I hope it calms you down. Do not be tempted to go and fight. It's not necessary. For now, let's just talk. Who can be MK's head, the face of MK? Kanyile doesn't seem to like Khumalo very much. Khumalo is said to be the one who registered the party, and then Bottom Chulizo on up. All of those things I'm not sure of. But what I want to say is, should MK have Kanyile himself or Minister Nathi Nhleko himself as a new guy coming into MK, or I still think because of the MK colors and this vroom vroom that is already being caused, I don't see them losing a lot of numbers because Msholozi is not there. So don't be tempted. You'll mess these things up because this thing is in your court. Don't mess it up. Don't be tempted. People are trying to provoke you once again. Don't be tempted. Just hold steady. Just hold strong and go. 9th of April, we'll see the final decision. So even if the final decision doesn't stand for MK, go to elections and beat them hands down. There's no need for you to be violent. It's not necessary. Beat them the best way you can. I mean, you could see the comparison. You don't have to call people to come to your campaign, like you say, bayitlela. So I just hope you listen to this and you make a decision on whatever is going to form your perspective. I do not believe, I have not read anywhere, but I do not believe it would be fair for IEC to stop Msholozi from being on the ballot paper, because it's not like he's running, he's going to be the president. If they want to bring other laws, it's fine. But on the ballot paper, I mean, he's the face of the party, but he does not need to be a presidential candidate. And, and being on the ballot paper itself doesn't mean you're a presidential candidate. I guess there's an electoral commission, electoral college that's going to be formed in the National Assembly by all those 400 party seats who are going to elect among themselves who's the president. And that process doesn't have to be blah, blah, blah. But anyway, let me just stop it there. I hope you listen to this. Calm heads again. It's going to be a long 2024. Resist the temptations once again. I know I've said it many times. Resist the temptation. You come out victorious. If you get tempted, you might mess up the whole thing. Sure.
Good evening, comrades, Mbogotos, Yangas, leaders, commanders, guerrillas, Y2Ks, haters of MK. We recognize you, and your hatred is not going to bear any fruition. Whether you like it or not, MK is going to win the national elections and be the party that will govern this country. And whether you like it or not, President Jacob Zuma will be the face of the MK national elections campaign, appearing in the ballot paper. Comrade, there's an opportunistic interpretation of what the chairperson of the commission has said today when he was holding a media brief in response to the question of header. Ubaba uNxamalala uGedleyihlekisa President Jacob Zuma does qualify to be in parliament, particularly to serve on the National Assembly. Comrades, those opportunistic people who wants to confuse and brainwash many members of the MK because they are scared of the MK. They are now, some are intentionally twisting the facts and celebrating their twisted fact, which is the claim that President Jacob Zuma is not eligible to be on the ballot paper. That is utter nonsense. That is garbage at its very best. That is contemptuous lies. Comrades, there's nothing in South African law and there's nothing in the Constitution that prohibits President Jacob Zuma from being the face of MK and his face appearing on the ballot paper of the MK. Those of you who have listened to the interview in its entirety, the media brief in its entirety, will appreciate the fact that the chairperson of the commission, when he was asked again specifically to clarify as to whether President Jacob Zuma is going to appear on the ballot paper, he said that it's something that the commission will still have to address. So that simply states that there were two issues. One is the eligibility on the National Assembly. Comrade, we don't need to debate that. The Constitution is very clear. Section 47E of the Constitution categorically states that any person that has been found to be guilty of criminal offense and has been handed a penalty of more than 12 months without a fine, that person is not eligible to be part of the National Assembly. In terms of Section 47E of the Constitution, anyone that has been found guilty of a criminal offense and has been sentenced to more than 12 months and without an option to pay fine, that person is not eligible or is not qualified or is not allowed by law to become a member of the National Assembly. And only members of the National Assembly elect among the members of the National Assembly someone who's going to be the president of the country. So, comrades, it is clear Ubaba Ngqamalala is not qualifying to be elected to be the member, or is not qualifying to become a member of the National Assembly. And therefore, if he cannot be a member of the National Assembly, he doesn't qualify to be elected the president of the country. I wrote an article in this regard, and I even quoted the relevant sections of the law. However, comrades, I even explained to that article that there was some funny suggestion that was made by Comrade Mackenzie, Gayton Mackenzie, that no, it's easy. The MK, if they win the elections, and then they can put the interim president, and the interim president will pardon President Jacob Zuma, and then he'll become a president. The presidential pardon does not replace the provision of the Constitution. So the presidential pardon is not the law in itself. So it cannot replace the law that is being obliged by the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, number 108 of 1996. However, comrades, how we are going to deal with that, we need to win and get the 2/3 majority. And when we get the 2/3 majority, we are going to appoint or deploy an interim president, and then we're going to have a vote at the National Assembly to then alter that clause that says someone who has been fined, who has been found guilty and been sentenced to more than 12 months without an option to pay fine, and change it to suit our intention of bringing back President Jacob Zuma. We can make it to read as if the person has been found of Schedule 1 criminal offense, guilty of Schedule 1 criminal offense, but those details will be discussed at the later stage when we're dealing with the Constitution, when we amend it. But what is of critical significance is that we need to get more than 2/3 majority in order to bring back Ubaba Ngqamalala as the president of this republic. However, comrades, I wish to emphasize that Ubaba Ngqamalala can only be brought back subject to us getting the more than 2/3 majority and therefore changing that clause in the Constitution. Now, moving along to the question of the ballot paper. There is absolutely nothing in the Constitution of the Republic Act, number 108 of 1996, which states that Ubaba cannot be the face that is appearing in the ballot paper of the MK. There's nothing in the law. I even challenged Professor Pierre Force to debate me in that article when I stated that categorically in black and white. So maqabane kanxamalala, ma MK amahle, please relax. Ubaba will still remain the person appearing in the ballot paper of MK. There's even no need for us to go and challenge what the chairperson of the commission has said about Ubaba not being eligible to be in the National Assembly. It's a given, comrade. We'll be wasting money and time and resources unnecessarily and energy. The only thing we need to do is to make sure that the MK gets more than 2/3 majority when it comes to winning the votes on the 29th of May 2024. But nothing in the law and no one will be able to remove Ubaba from being the face that is appearing in the ballot paper of the MK. I thought it's important to clarify this issue and settle the confusion that is being perpetuated and propagated and manifested and sustained in order to confuse you. Maqabane, ningaconfuseki. There's no such. Maqabane, Ubaba will remain the face that will appear in the ballot paper of EMK. Amandla.